Welcome back to No Fall Weddings, Week 7 edition. Please like, comment, subscribe if you're enjoying this content. Yesterday was the first rainy, chilly fall Saturday where I live, so it's only natural that college football was awesome yesterday. Sorry, Woso. Gotta start with the Red River rivalry. Ooh, say that 5 times fast. Red River rivalry, Red River rivalry, Red River. I can't do it, but I still did better than Oklahoma's offense yesterday. Texas defense shines, and a timely punt return leads to a dominant 23-6 win at the Texas State Fair. John Mateer returned from thumb surgery, but probably should have been checked for CTE instead. He ends up throwing 3 interceptions, including an absolute backbreaker right before the half. They were in field goal range, ready to go up, 9-6, and just threw it into the end zone. The guy was open. He just threw it to the wrong side. I don't understand what he was looking at, but it was a bad decision, bad throw, and that momentum led to Texas getting the ball at the half, going down to take the lead, and never looked back. The difference in the game, though, was the running game. Oklahoma ran it 30 times for 48 yards. Don't do that math. Texas ran it 35 for a much more respectable 136 yards. That's the difference. They controlled the ball, they controlled the ground game, they controlled the clock, and Arch Manning finally looking competent against a decent team. Now, I'm not going to overreact and like some people in the media and, oh, he's still going to be the number 1 overall pick. No. He's still a pretty below average quarterback, but good for him. He ran it timely when he needed to, had a couple decent throws, didn't turn it over. That can lead to victories, especially when your defense is that good. So that's 2 straight losses against your rival. Now, coming from a fan whose team has lost to their rival 4 straight times, don't let it get to that. Take care of him next year because it just gets worse and worse. Speaking of Ohio State, that Texas win starting to look a little better. Indiana did what? The first Big Ten team to go into Autzen and knock them off 30-20. Indiana Hoosiers. Known really more for their offense. It's their defense that shined yesterday, holding Oregon to 13 offensive points and 267 total yards. Everybody's flavor of the month at quarterback, Dante Moore, struggled. 2 interceptions and a quarterback of 33. That's not really Heisman-worthy stuff. Indiana's first win against a top 5 team since 1967, and their first road win in their program's history. Their coach, Kurt Cignetti, really likes to talk, but this time, finally, his team backed it up. Listen, looking at Indiana's schedule, they don't have to play Ohio State. They don't have to play Michigan. They got Oregon out of the way. Penn State's no good. They're going to be favored the rest of the year, heavy favorites. Now, can they hold that up? I mean, even last week, they barely squeaked by Iowa. Now, Iowa will do that to a lot of teams, drag them in the mud. But when you have that bullseye on you, can you hold up as the favorite? Indiana in the Big Ten championship game, look for pigs to be flying. Let's do some quick hits around the country. And there was a lot of them. Let's start off with Alabama, Missouri playing really one of the most entertaining games of the year yesterday. But man, did Mizzou have their chances. But Ty Simpson just kept getting huge 4th down conversions. And I think I'm finally ready to admit that he is the Heisman favorite right now, and deservedly so. Because if you look back against that Florida State loss, I didn't blame it on him. I thought he played really well, considering how poor his offensive line played, how bad his defense played. He hung in there. So I'm not putting that loss on him. He's been great ever since. I don't think this Alabama team is dominant at all. He's really good, and he's the engine that's driving this. I thought Bama was buried. Damn it. I've never seen a more rigged game than the one that happened last night with Georgia and Auburn. That was an abomination. The refs took away a touchdown right at the goal line for Auburn that would have put them up 17-0 and probably essentially ended that game. After what felt like a 15-minute replay, we have the one shot down from the goal line right at the pile. Jackson Arnold has that ball in his hand. Yes, it is close. I'm not going to deny that. But when you have that conclusive of a shot with the ball touching the goal line, it's a touchdown. I don't care how blurry it is. It's as conclusive as you're going to get. And then Kirby Smart with the most classless chicken shit move I've ever seen a head coach pull. In the 4th quarter with his team having the ball, the play clock was under 3, where you see him running at the ref calling for a timeout. Ref gives him the timeout. Then all of a sudden he's on the field going, no, 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 no. I was clapping. I was clapping. I wasn't calling timeout. I was clapping. And the refs talked about it. The the sideline referee, I guess, believed him. And the head ref says that he wasn't calling a timeout. So restart the play clock at 25. Then we see the replay of him clearly calling a timeout. I don't really need any more reasons to root against Georgia, but you just gave me one, Kirby. Unfortunately, karma didn't bite you in the ass last night, but it's coming. Speaking of teams I don't root for, last night was the Meteor Bowl for JP. Michigan versus USC. Man, what happened to that vaunted Michigan defense, giving up 31 points on 489 total yards? Both starting running backs for each team went out early in the first half. So really, should have been Michigan's depth that they claim they have with recruiting. But it was USC's freshman walk-on, King Miller, who goes for 158 yards and a touchdown. Michigan's overpaid quarterback, Bryce Underwood, showed flashes, but he really couldn't keep up with USC's Jaden Mauyava. Now, I obviously can't revel in a Trojans win, but I can sleep soundly knowing that Michigan has its second loss of the season against the only two teams that Michigan's played that actually has a pulse. Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss avoiding disaster and squeaking by 24-21 over Washington State. The same Washington State that lost by 49 points to North Texas. Now, Ole Miss will probably still move up in the polls because SEC. Everyone's been talking about how Deion Sanders basically has one foot out the door at Colorado, and maybe he won't even finish out the season. But good for him. Upsetting Iowa State yesterday, crowd stormed the field. I don't know. It was a feel-good moment. Florida State has officially lost all its goodwill from that week 1 stunning win against Alabama. They're now 3-3 and back in the sewers of the ACC. Time for my weekly personal update of Notre Dame and Ohio State. Notre Dame sleptwalked their way in the first half before dominating the second half in a 36-7 win over NC State. CJ Carr, 342 yards on 19 completions. If they make an extra point in week 2, he is in the top 3 Heisman conversation. And that defense, I think they found something. Ohio State goes on the road against a top 20 team, wins by 18, and it barely registers on the national scale. That's how good Ohio State is right now. Just taking care of business. Julian Saint continues to grow into a well-rounded quarterback, and it's easy to do that when you throw it to Jeremiah Smith in the red zone. If I do have concerns for my number 1 overall team, it's that I don't think they really have a running back right now that can just make people miss. I feel like our entire running game is just based on blocking. And I know Illinois has a good offensive line, but man, Ohio State could not get pressure with 4-man rush. They had to blitz to get to him. It worked, but going down the road, that's not going to get it done. All right, let's do the play of the day. Again, sorry, Woso. It's the punt return for Texas that basically iced the game against Oklahoma.
Niblett, who carefully fields this one, has some room. Ryan Niblett weaving, still running down the sideline. Niblett all the way to the house. 75, no flags.
It was hook 'em horns this year. But I got to go on a little rivalry rant. I understand this is an all-time great rivalry. Oklahoma versus Texas. Texas State Fair. Neutral site. Split down 50-yard line. Half the side is Texas. The other side is Oklahoma. It's a cool game. But if I'm being honest, I can't put it in my top 3 or maybe not even my top 5 for rivalries because of that. I couldn't imagine Ohio State and Michigan playing in Toledo every year at a neutral site. I couldn't imagine Notre Dame not going out to the Coliseum every other year. It just doesn't register to me. I gotta play my rival at home one year and on the road the next year to shut their fans up. Some of the best wins I have growing up is going on the road and beating them in their own house, watching their fans leave early, taking over the crowd, an OHIO chant around Michigan Stadium. Like, it's great. Having a neutral site every year, it's a cool look, but that's not college football. All right, let's look ahead to week 8. It's definitely the SEC's weekend. We got Ole Miss at Georgia, Tennessee at Alabama, and LSU at Vanderbilt. A sneaky good game. Texas Tech, who is in the top 10 with all the money they've spent, is going to Arizona State, see if they can stay undefeated. And speaking of that rivalry, Notre Dame and USC revive theirs in South Bend. God, do I hate that stupid band of SEs. You get a 3-yard run, and here comes the fight song. It's annoying. Everything about USC I hate their colors. I hate their coach. I hate their stadium. Everything. And now USC's in talks to get rid of the rivalry because, oh, they're in the Big Ten. They're scared. They're scared. They can't stand the fact that Notre Dame beats them 4 out of every 5 years. So maybe let's not beat them too bad, Irish, and we'll try to keep this rivalry around. Nah, beat them 59-0. Thank you for watching No Fall Weddings. Again, please like, comment, subscribe. We'll see everybody next week. Go Irish!